Hello everyone, welcome to my corner of the world and another video where I'm going to continue to build my green foliage junk journal. So my previous videos have shown how I've created some unusual signatures and I've got them sort of just quickly here with like pockets and tucks and all sorts of slidey things, and you'll be able to go back and have a look to see how I've created that. So it's now time to start thinking about the cover before I create much more, because I don't want it to be a really huge thick book. So anyway, I got my ruler out just to see roughly how big my spine needed to be, and it looks like it needs to be around about 1.75 inches roughly. Then that will give room for other sort of ephemera and stuff to be tucked into the various pages of the finished book. So I think I've said in my earlier videos that I wanted to do a different kind of binding, and I've got a piece of chipboard here which is just slightly larger than my signatures. So it's 8.5, I think it's by 5 and something, 5 3/4. And I went through my fabric stash and I found this lovely piece of green with leaves on, so it's perfect for what I want. And I've also found another piece of fabric which has got sort of brownie leaves on, which again goes well with my theme. So this one I've actually I did cut to size, and I have frayed the edges because I just again wanted to have a little bit of if you like roughness in my cover. Now I'm making 2 covers like this, and then I'm going to use some fabric to make like some hinges instead of a solid spine. And so because these have to dry, I was going to just show you quickly how I made my spine. So I measured a piece that was going to be at 1 3/4 plus, I think, 1 inch either side. And this is just, again, some, I'm not quite sure what it is. It's not linen, it's calico maybe. So again, I had some of that in my stash, and I just tore some strips and just got a stamp with some ordinary water-based ink, and just stamped with a nice leafy stamp, which I have actually used this stamp in the journal, on some journal pages itself. So I'm kind of making sure my theme runs through. Now I wasn't sure whether or not this would actually be sturdy enough, tough enough to be hinge on its own. So I went and found some Tyvek, and that's paper that doesn't tear. It's this sort of special fibre paper. Now, here in the States, we can get these from the USPS. And I think this is one that I just received through the mail myself. And so it's definitely using up some junk. And this is why I want to use it, is because it doesn't tear. Those of you who may remember when we used to have floppy disks, just puts me in my place. But we used to have floppy disks, and they always came in little paper envelopes that was actually made of this sort of stuff. So I'm just going to flip over, and I'm just going to attach a piece to the back like this. And I'm doing this bit first because I'll need to just let it set up and dry. Now this is, it's called Fabri-Tac. It's just something I saw somebody use. It's solvent based. So as I say, I'm just using it, and I'm going to make sure that I use this. This is going to be the back. So I want the plain side down because it shows through. Yeah, ask me how I know. It shows through. So you just got to be careful to make sure it doesn't, you know, you haven't got any sort of ink or writing that's going to show through. So I'm just going to stick that down like that. So now I have done, because I had my idea in mind and I didn't know if it would work or how long it would take me to do it. I have, unusually for me, done a little bit of pre-work on the cover, and I think I've satisfied myself that it's going to be a workable solution. So those are my hinges, and I just kind of gonna put a little bit of just a slight curve in, and I'm gonna let that dry before I use it. So let's go back to my piece of chipboard, and this is just chipboard that came in a packet of decorative paper that I used, and I've got this little tool, and this is real handy for just making sure that if you kind of line it up, that you've got enough fabric on the edges to be able to do the folding over. So that can go over a little bit so I don't overly use my fabric. Now that needs to come back because I'm a bit there we go. And then this should just, right, and I just want to check this one last time. I'm going to just ease it up a tiny smudge. Then I've got my fabric scissors. And let's take that up, make sure that I've got, as I say, I just need to make sure I've just got enough fabric to do what I want to do. There's nothing worse than getting to the end and finding, uh-oh. And I tell you, when I first came to America 23 years ago, and under the terms of my husband's visa, I couldn't work, and I'd worked all my adult life when we lived in the UK, and I knew that I would just go out on my tree if I didn't have anything to do all day while he was at work. So I thought to myself, I'm going to teach myself to quilt. Now, we didn't have YouTube to that extent way back in the day. And so, you know, I kind of sat down and worked it out for myself. And I did brilliantly on the top, and I did brilliantly on the batting. It was only a small piece, but I messed up on the fabric for the backing. And it was too short. And of course, it wasn't until I went to do the last little bit that I discovered it was too short. I was so upset. But ever since then, I have been super cautious about making sure I don't get too much. I don't get my fabric wrong. I could draw a line here, I suppose, but hey. Maybe I'll do that after. Let's get this stuck down. We get this stuck down. I've no idea what sort of, I mean, I've got my fabric adhesive that I found somebody recommended, but I'm going to use my glue stick because I have got hundreds of glue sticks. I know I bought some and then I needed one, and could I find it? Phew, could I? Heck is like. So I went out and bought some more, and as soon as you do that, you know, don't you? You know full well that the one that you just thought you know was not, you just couldn't find, and there it is. It just turns up. So I've got an extraordinary amount of glue sticks. So then I'm going to go around right to the edge with my fabric glue, like that. And then I'm gonna squeeze lots on here as well. And then I've got, if I haven't lost it, I've got an old paintbrush. Let's see. Here it is. And I'm just going to smooth that down a bit. I'm not going to take too long because this, I can smell it's solvent based and it will dry really quick. In fact, it's already started to gel up. Right. So now let's get my piece of fabric. And I'm going to pop that in the middle like that. And then I've got my scraper. Let's get that adhesive well and truly spread out. Now I can see it's leaked through a tiny bit there, but I'm not going to worry about it. It'll dry, and it'll dry quickly because, as I say, it is solvent based. Right, so now hopefully this is not too far out. That's not too far out. So I can just cut this down, trim the corners. Makes it easier that you take these pieces off rather than try to, wrong one, Sind, rather than to try and get them all folded. So if you've been watching my various series, I think this is my second series on my junk journal adventures, you'll know that I like keep my videos to about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit over. So I think this might be a little bit longer than normal. So I'm just putting a crease in my fabric like that. I don't know if it works. I know it works for paper, but I'm not sure it works for fabric. But I figured it would be nice to just have a fabric cover, just to be different, because with my, because I'm so new to junk journaling, I just want to sort of try lots of different ideas rather than kind of get stuck in a groove. So that is what I decided that, you know, I've done a couple of conventional covers, and that's when I thought I'm going to try this. So we're not actually going to attach the signatures today. That will be for another video, and partly because I've got to let all the adhesive dry and set up. So then I've got these little pieces here, these corners. So I'm going to just pinch those in like that. And put the tiniest little dab of adhesive on there. And then we're just going to wind that down to the bottom. And make sure that, can you see how nice and neat that is? Okay, so I'm going to just put a little bit of a crease in there so it neatly folds over. And again, you would do exactly the same as this if you were using paper. Let's make sure that bit gets nicely tucked in. There we go. Oh, let's make sure the piece is nicely tucked in. That was your cue to nicely go in, little corner. There we go. Now somewhere I have got some little metal corners, reinforced corners. Maybe I'll look them out and we can use those when we come to finish everything off. Right, and then our final piece. Oh, again, we're going to go in and give that a good crease, just that those tiny little bits, those little bits at the corner, a little bit of adhesive on it, and then there we go. How are we doing for time? Oh, we've been going about 18 minutes. That isn't bad. Okay, so we're just going to make sure that little beastie's tucked in nicely. There we go. And the other end, we've got 2 to do on this side end. There we are. And I've made sure that we've got a nice tight on the side there. Okay. Now the good thing about this adhesive is that if you get it on your fingers, when it dries, it actually comes off. You can just sort of roll your fingers together and it will come off in like a little ball. So that's a good piece, good thing about it. So then I got this other piece of fabric here, And as I say, I frayed it ahead of time because I didn't, you know, you didn't really want to stand and sort of sit and watch me fray fabric. So let's get this out again, and we'll do this. I think if I do many more of these, I won't have to worry too much about having a stash. Look, I've gone through that quite quickly. I won't have to worry about having a stash of glue sticks. They'll all be used up. Oh, look, that one's falling apart now. I think that was well and truly used up. Let's get some sticky off my fingers. Right. Now we're going to go, and I'm just going to put some more of this fabric adhesive on. I'm going to try using some other adhesives at some point for fabric and for generally, because, you know, I've used all sorts of adhesives in my crafting, particularly with paper crafting, and I hear recommendations from people about using different kinds of adhesive, and so I think, oh well, I'll try that one, and I get hold of some, and then I kind of use it up, because I think I'm probably used about 2/3 of this bottle for other sort of projects that I've done, and then I'll go on and try something else, and then one day I'm sure I'll come back with my own preference that works for me, because to be honest with you, I'd rather just use one kind of glue rather than have lots of different kinds. I really would just like to have the one type of glue. Right, so make sure we do this the right way round, and I'll attach it then to here. I'm trying to remember what margin I left myself. I think I cut it quite high. Let's make sure it's sort of centered as best we can. And then I think I've just got to go back in and just go the edges a little bit. I didn't know how far to take it for the edges. There we go. I think that one's pretty good. Stuck down. I think that is all stuck down pretty good. That corner could do with a little bit of extra attention. Maybe this bit. Oh, definitely this bit. Okay. Whew, getting a bit of a high from that glue. It's really quite pungent, sort of spirity. Okay. So there we have our cover. Oh, darn and drat. Okay, let's see if we can get this off. I'll tell you what I've done in a minute. I put this on upside down to the one on the front. So fortunately, I realised it quick enough. And as you saw, it comes off really quickly, really easily if you act fast. I might have to go back and do a few corners, but I'll do those later. There we go. All right, so now we've got our hinges. Okay, so they dry quite quickly. There's one of my hinges. But to get a bit of a head on this, I did my other cover earlier, and I've actually attached the hinges to the one side of it. And I made these hinges exactly the same way as the one I showed you when I started. So I've got my two pieces now. The only thing I wished I'd done, and I might be able to do something about it later, is I wished I got a bit of fabric or paper to cover this. So anyway, I'm not going to grieve over it. So I said that I wanted my spine to be 1 3/4. So I just cut a piece of chipboard, and I'm gonna use my mat here, because my mat here has got a lovely indentation, so I can line everything up like that. And as I say, I've got my spacer here to just make sure that I've got a big enough spine, but I'm not having to juggle with two pieces of card going in different directions. Right. So I've got my awl, AWL, not ALL. So this is what I use when I sort of bind with wax string and stuff. It's very sharp. That's why it's in a cork. Because if anyone's going to stab themselves, it is going to be me. And what we're going to do is, I'm just going to get my little ruler. I worked out how to do the one side. Now I've got to work out how to do the other side. So when I put my hole here, it was like a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to do 1/2 inch here. And I'm going to put a hole, and it's kind of a pilot hole, if you see my meaning. Like that. And then I'm going to do another one. And then my last one there. Right. Now then, I don't want to stab through my mat here. So how am I going to do this? What have I got that I don't mind stabbing through to push it through? Here, I've got a bit of cardboard. Right. Let's see. Right. Number 1. too tight, Cindy. Where was my little marking pen? Where's that? Okay, number 2. And last but not least, number 3. There. I don't think I damaged my mat. Right, so let's go. I'm going to find those holes and give them a good old extra piece in. And then we'll go push that back up. There. I don't think this is going to be the prettiest way of doing things, but it's the way I can only think of at the minute. So we're going to put a little bit of adhesive here. Make sure that it doesn't go too far. And then I'm going to, with that hole I did, I'm just going to line up there. Take the oil out. It'll probably get a bit of sticky on it, but you know, I'm not going to worry about that because a little bit of goo gone and I think that'll come off, or it might just roll off in a ball like it does off your fingers. Okay, so there's that one. I think technically I should let that dry, but I want to sort of finish this while you're with me. So look, there's the next hole, next bit of. So if you know of a more elegant way to do this, you know, just put it in the comments underneath. I could have eyeballed it, I suppose, but you know, I was an engineer in a previous working life, and it's difficult to break a habit that, oh phooey. Yeah, it's difficult to break a habit of, you know, not measuring. Actually, something's just occurred to me. I've got this here. I've got this here. Why don't I just stick it down? I think I've answered my own question. There we go. There we go. So that is sort of nice. I love this raggedy bit. I'm really glad that I frayed those pieces up. I think they look really great. Now I have got my crocodile. And I'm going to put some eyelets. Now, I think one of the things I could have thought about doing was like stitching the these tabs on. But there's no way my sewing machine is going to go through this chipboard. And I didn't want to use, I wanted to use a really firm base for these, so that you know, it's gonna be robust. So we cut that, punch a hole. I'm going to put the thingy through, and then just go in with the pinchy end. So I got to work out how to get the pin in. Oh, I can just see it peeking through. Come on, come on, come on. Come on. Don't think it's going. I wasn't putting it in far enough. There it is. There it is. So if I was to use like a thinner cover casing material, I think that I would probably stitch, but I'm not going to do that on this thick stuff. Because I think I'd ruin, well, I'd certainly ruin the needle, and I think I'd probably damage the actual sewing machine as well. So I'm sorry if this has gone out of focus for you, but I'm trying to see the little pinny thing that goes, there it is, that goes into the eyelet. Okay, last one. Keeps on, doesn't come, this doesn't come out, and I need to use that to line it up. Well, to be honest with you, I am somewhat relieved that my idea, I was able to turn it, make it work for something, and come up with a finished item. So you're not happy about going in. Let's wiggle you in. Oh, I think it's binding on the other piece. Oh yeah, that's what's happening. Okay. Maybe I should have done, oh, well, why is it you went in that way? Oh, because I haven't got the hole punch bit in. I was just the other bit. It needs to go in at an angle, Sind. There we go. I think I'm nearly there. Come on. I'm hoping I'm not messing up the rest of my work. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to, how are we doing for time? Oh, 38 minutes. I'm gonna have one more try at getting that in. And then if I can't, I'll work it offline, and I'll bring you the finished item on the next one. But I'm going to be awfully disappointed if I can't get this. Hold on. Let's see. Gosh, I can't even do that with my fingers. That's just too thick. So there was me patting myself on the back a few moments ago, how wonderful I was. to have got this done and making it work. And now I've fallen at the last hurdle. Right, I'm not gonna spend any more time on it during this video, but I will win. You know I will win. So there's my cover, and here are my signatures. And so what we're going to do on the next video is, rather than kind of just put all these together and do one sewing, we're actually going to sew each signature in individually down on these these hinge parts. And so because the actual stitching will be visible, then obviously we've got to be really tidy about how we do that stitching. So there we are, there's our cover, and so a couple of extra signatures. All I've done is just got some paper and stuck them in there, because I don't quite know how many signatures I'm going to get in there, and I didn't want to make any more special ones. I got 4 special unusual ones, and then if I need a bit more thickness in it, then I can just use some straightforward signatures, but I'll show you those another time. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed sharing, building up this cover with you. If you've enjoyed this, perhaps you'll just go ahead, give me a thumbs up. Any comments, then you can just pop them below. I'd be delighted to read them. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. And I want to just thank you for choosing to spend some time with me. And I will look forward to seeing you next time when we do the next bit of my foliage junk journal. Thank you, and bye-bye for now.